ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة كل ضلالة في النار. As we were talking about the story of قصة آدم مع إبليس, the story of Adam with Shaitan or Iblis before he became al-mal'oon al-la'een al-matrud min rahmatillah, before he became the accursed Shaitan that was expelled, and then he was cast out and removed from the rahmah of Allah until the curse became upon him all the way up to the day of resurrection, and those who follow him from his companions or his minions or those who in this dunya who worshipped him. فيا معاشر الإخوة, you'll find that the great Imam al-Shaykh رغم أنوف أعداء الإسلام والحزبيين, despite of the fact of those who make enmity with him, and really in actuality their enmity is not with him. Their enmity is with the da'wah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the true da'wah that's going to rectify society and rectify the communities. So their war is not with the da'wah of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Their da'wah is with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And that war and that da'wah, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, is from the ways of Iblis and from his tricks and from his plots. And which we just spoke about in the last couple of weeks, or the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about the story of the Adam with Iblis. However, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, the great Imam Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, that when he was talking about the story of Adam with Iblis, he set up a very important key benefit that everyone should listen to. He says, وَمِنْهَا عَدَمُ الْإِغْتِرَارِ بِالْعِلْمِ وَعَدَمُ الْإِغْتِرَارِ بِالْمَكَانَةِ فَإِنَّ إِبْلِيسَ كَانَ لَهُ مَكَانَ رَفِيعَةً كانت له مكانة رفيعة عالية عند الله تبارك وتعالى وكذلك بلعام بن باعوراء وأوتي من آيات الله تبارك وتعالى ثم سلب ذلك كلها. He said, from the benefits extracted from the story, and I want everyone to listen to this, he said that one should not be fooled by the high status that he has. Well, firstly, he said not to be fooled by the knowledge he possesses. عدم الاغترار بالعلم, not to be fooled by the knowledge he possesses. For verily Shaitan كان أعلم خلق الله وكان من أمره ما كان. And Shaitan was the most knowledgeable of the creation of Allah then. He knew about La ilaha illallah, yes. And also Shaitan knows that Tawheed is the correct religion and the correct belief. And he was the most knowledgeable about Allah. And despite of that, what occurred from him, what occurred of that misguidance and him being led astray. So no matter how much one possesses of ilm, Allah Ta'ala can lead one astray. No matter how much knowledge one attains, or how much knowledge he's acquired, or no matter how much knowledge he's gathered, also likewise one has to have the tawfiq from Allah to keep him firm. For else one could be from those who will be led astray. Just as it will happen to the Shaitan al-La'een. The accursed Shaitan was led astray despite of the knowledge that he possessed. And not only that, as he talked about in the tafsir, as also the Shaykh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, we know that he was known for tafsir. That was from the affairs which he specialized in. It wasn't just the affairs of monotheism and tawheed as a lot of people think. He was an alim as even in the affairs of tafsir, especially when he's extracting these benefits from the ayat. He also mentioned about not for one to be fooled by the high status he possesses. As we know, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that a lot of people these days, you'll find the opposite happening, especially in the times we live in. These trying times, you'll find that when one increases in knowledge, he increases in more arrogance. Well, you'll find it's supposed to be the opposite. He increases in knowledge, he increases in more humbleness. For a person, if he sees that he's becoming more haughty, more belligerent, more arrogant, looking down upon people, talking about people, thinking that he's more than or I'm better than, you will never find this is from the traits of a person that truly benefited from his ilm. Rather, when one augments in knowledge, he increases in more humbleness and more lowering himself to the creation and knowing that he is humble and he is just from Bani Adam. And if Allah wanted, he could lead him astray upon that knowledge, just as what took place with Shaitan and Iblis himself. As you'll find that the great Imam said that he was the most knowledgeable of the creation of Allah. And despite of that, what occurred from him, what occurred of misguidance. And he was led astray. And also on top of that, just to make what we just established, also Shaitan had a high status with Allah. He had a makanatun rafi'ah. He had that high, lofty status with Allah. And he also mentioned a key point when we wanted to speak about today. The key point or the benefit that we wanted to extract. He said that even though a person might have high status with Allah, or have high status with Allah Ta'ala, or have high status in general, especially from Shaitan who possessed this high status, and also likewise from Bani Adam, which happened with a man named Bal'am. Also likewise had a high status, and we'll explain what happened to Bal'am ibn Abar. And one narration said his name was Bal'am ibn Ba'ura. And one narration that says his name was Bal'am ibn Ba'ir. And one narration that says his name was Bal'am ibn Ba'ur. And one narration that says his name was Bal'am ibn Abar. What am I speaking about, and how is that pertaining to the story of Iblis? And what ayah am I speaking about? The ayah what I'm speaking about, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, is in the ayah where Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-A'raf, where he says, Jalla fil ula, وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا فَأَتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانُ فَكَانَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ وَلَوْ شِئْنَا لَرَفَعْنَاهُ بِهَا ولكنه أخلد إلى الأرض واتبع هواه فمثله كمثل الكلب إن تحمل عليه يلهث أو تتركه يلهث ذلك مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا فقصص القصص لعلهم يتفكرون. Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-A'raf, He says, recite to them about the man, the story in which we gave him our signs. We gave a man our signs, gave him ilm, gave him something that was more important in the dunya. Listen to what Allah says about him. We gave him our signs. Wasn't a prophet. We gave him our signs. And you'll find that the meaning of the signs is al-ilm, from the knowledge he possessed, of the ilm al-shara'i' and the ilm al-shar'i, and what he was given of the ilm al-shar'i, of the knowledge of the book of Allah at that time, and the sunnah of that particular prophet of Musa, and likewise what happened to another individual during the time of the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We gave him our signs. He ripped it and tore it off of himself, removed it from himself. Shaitan followed him up, and he was from those who became astray. If we had will, we'd have raised him by those signs. However, he wanted something of this world, of this lowly world. He wanted that. فَأَخْلَدَهُ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ فَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ. Something worldly. He wanted something of lowly commodity of this world. And he wanted this world, and as a result, those signs were stripped away from him. And he followed his desires. And the example of him is like the example of the dog. If he was to burn it with something or put something on his back, it would pant. And if you just leave it alone, it will still pant like a dog, like this. Being around worldly things. And we'll talk about how this applies to a lot of callers these days. A lot of callers who compromise the affairs of the religion all for some worldly affairs, stripping away what Allah has given him of some knowledge, which is considered from the signs of Allah, which comes as a result of it, he went astray. Shaitan followed him up, and he became from those who was misguided. Who are we speaking about, ya ma'ashal ikhwa? So keep in mind, like we said, it does not matter how much knowledge one possesses. It does not matter how high status one has with Allah. That can be stripped away and removed, as it happened to Iblis himself. And likewise, it happened to another man, as Ibn Kathir mentioned in his tafsir. From that man, his name, as it says in one name, that his name was Bal'am. As the great Imam Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab had mentioned and said that his name was Bal'am ibn Ba'ura. He says that he was from the Can'aniyin, meaning from the people of Bani Canaan, which is the land that was previously or currently known, which is in Sham. And Sham, we know, is the land in which we know where Palestine is, Jordan is, Syria. All those lands is considered the lands of Sham, and other than that. So this man his name was Bal'am. One narration said his name was Bal'am ibn Ba'ura. One narration, as we said, his name was Bal'am ibn Ba'ir. One narration said his name was Bal'am ibn Ba'ur. He said that he used to know the greatest name of Allah. One narration said he kana ya'lam ism Allah al-a'zam, that he used to know the greatest name of Allah. وفي رواية كان مجاب الدعوة. And another narration, it says that his invocation or his call, if he made supplication to Allah, it would be answered. كان مجاب الدعوة. His invocation or supplication would be answered by Allah. They said that he was from those who used to remain and reside amongst the Jabbareen, from those kings who were tyrannical. And they used to be afraid of Musa. One narration, it says that he was actually from those who Musa sent, calling the tyrannical rulers to what was correct. And when he went to those tyrannical kings or rulers, they gave him something worldly and persuaded him to leave off the religion of Musa and follow them and upon their way and upon their religion, which would say what was from the meanings of what? Where he stripped away the signs that Allah gave him, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed from him and then led him astray. Then they say in one narration that one time, that Bal'am, that when he came and when he was with Bani Israel, and what was amongst them was from his tribe and the children, from his relatives, and also likewise in which Musa, which we know was a prophet of Allah, and also likewise what was amongst them from those who at the time, who Allah Ta'ala preferred over the rest of creation of Bani Israel. And in one narration it says, and likewise was Musa, was the Malaika. In which you'll find that during the narration, as it says, or when the narration, as Ibn Kathir says, you'll find in the narration that it says when the people who said when Musa was coming to the land in which Allah has said that he would give them and inherit Bani Israel, meaning the land of Sham. When they were going towards the land, the people seen Musa and they were in fright and in horror. And they went to Bal'am and they said that verily Musa is coming. And if he comes, he's going to take our land. And we're going to be people who are dislodged without any place to reside, without any place to live. If Musa comes, he will take over our land and we will be removed from it. Make dua against him. Make dua against the people. Make dua against his followers. Bal'am had said to them, no, why would I make dua against the Prophet of Allah? Why do I make dua against those who Allah Ta'ala sent at that particular time to the people Bani Israel. Why would I make dua against the what? The one who's carrying the truth at that time. Why would I make dua against them? As they kept persuading him. And this shows from the benefits, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, how people who are around you can affect you. If they keep being in your ear, keep talking to you, eventually you will get affected. As they kept persuading him. And they kept being in his ear until hatta fatanu, until they persuaded him and made a fitna upon him. He had knowledge, had a high status, had possessed an abundance of ilm. And despite of that, until he started to now obey his people. And we'll talk about what happened into the next part, in which came as a result of it, where Allah said, the signs of him in which we gave him were stripped away. And which we'll talk about in the next khutbah. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد ولد آدم أجمعين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد فيا معاشر الإخوة. Keep in mind, like we said, of what Bal'am had possessed, of the signs of Allah which was from the ilm. And this is applicable to our days and times. How many people do we know have gone to study, spent years overseas, or spent a little bit of time or a lot of time, and they come back arrogant, or come back misleading the people, all for some type of or reason for their misguidance or misguiding the people of something pertaining to worldly affairs, something of money, something of a commodity of this world, misleading the people, misguiding them, all because they want something of this world, something of which is not worth for them now, stripping away what they learned of the ayat or the signs that Allah has given them, of abundance of knowledge, and coming as a result of it, leading the people and misguiding them and leading them astray. In which you see taking place all the time. And you see it taking place with a lot of people these days. They become more knowledge, they become more and increasing themselves in knowledge, and they increase in more arrogance. And not only that, they come with fundamentals in order to justify what they're doing. Principles and foundations that is totally in contrast and opposes what the Kitab and Sunnah, what it calls to, what is correct. Coming with false principles to justify their weakness. For ya ma'ashal ikhwa, know for sure, and this is for all of us, if you see knowledge becoming and making you more haughty, and you know in yourself you're weak for this world, and that you can be easily persuaded by worldly things to change what you're upon of guidance and what is correct, then you should not get involved in da'wah in the first place. Leave it alone. It's not for you. As you'll find that ulama said that this da'wah is for rijal. It's for men that can handle it. If you can't handle it, then you need to go somewhere else. If you can't handle, because in most cases, not all cases, in most cases, if you embark upon the haqq, and you call to what is clear, and you call to what is true, you're going to have a lot of enemies. And you might not have a lot of money. And you're not going to have an abundance of cash and a lot of worldly things. You're going to have to take a major L, a major loss, to sacrifice, in which a lot of people these days can't handle. They have a weakness. And their weakness is this world. It is better for you to leave off da'wah than now you enter the field of da'wah, becoming arrogant and haughty because you know in the back of your mind you're weak. You cannot handle the field. So let me water down and compromise. And let me lead the people astray just to satisfy my worldly affairs and to rectify them. For ya ma'ashal ikhwa, like we said, Bal'am was given the signs of Allah. He was given a lot of knowledge. And listen to the narrations as Ibn Kathir says. One narration says that the kings broke him off a piece of something of money or something worldly until Bal'am started to make dua against Musa, even though he knew the greatest name of Allah. He had the greatest name of Allah, knew it, had knowledge. His invocation was answered. As one narration it says, he was given 3 invocations that it was guaranteed if he invoked Allah, it would be answered. Listen to one narration it says. One narration Ibn Kathir that I mentioned it said that it says that he was given 3 calls and invocations to the point where his woman or his wife who he had a child from. And to let us know how people love this dunya, how they love this world, not thinking to what is more important. As his woman had asked him, you're guaranteed an invocation that Allah will answer it. Make dua to Allah to make me the most beautiful woman of Bani Israel. Wow. Not thinking that maybe ask Allah to put me in paradise. Ask Allah to save me from hell. Ask Allah to put me in the highest place of paradise. Which if that da'wah was answered, the worldly affairs would have been rectified. Because there's no one that can enter paradise or attain high levels of paradise except that their worldly affairs have to be rectified in regards to their religion. Make me the most beautiful woman of Bani Israel. Look to the mindset. What happened as a result of it? She became arrogant, started looking down upon Bal'am until she left him. Then he made dua against her to make her a dog, as one narration says. And she became that. And then another narration is it says, as the children had said that her mother became a dog. Returning her back to what? To the state in which she was upon. So she was returned back to her state. Listen to the mentality. Worldly affairs. All the 3 da'wats, 1 invocation gone. Then another narration it says that Shaitan had came to Bal'am even though he possessed an abundance of knowledge. One narration Ibn Kathir mentions it says, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. What Ibn Kathir does mention and say, he says, what is the most strongest opinion is that this ayat was revealed to Bal'am ibn Ba'urah. He was given an abundance of knowledge. He knew the greatest name of Allah. He says, and what Ibn Asakir had mentioned in his Tariq, this narration of what goes on, of what happened to Bal'am ibn Ba'urah, where his people put him to trial and test, convincing him to make dua against Musa, even though he knew Musa was a prophet, even though he knew what amongst them what he had of the truth, and that the angels was with him, and that the haqq was with Musa. And despite of that, he still went astray. Based upon the knowledge he possessed, he still went astray. What happened? Listen to what it says in the narration. It says that when he seen Musa, the people had said, of course, of the fear of Musa, and also what they would break off to Bal'am of something worldly. We'll give you something worldly. We'll give you something of what you want and what you possess. Make dua against Musa and his people. As in one narration says that Bal'am, he had now rode upon his atan, rakiba ala rahilatihi, or himari, that he had mounted upon his mule, his riding beast. And he was going towards to make dua against Musa. It says that he went to a mountain, it was the Jabal Husban, as it says in the narration. When he climbed upon the mountain, as it says, when he ascended, the beast stopped. It halted. And it kneeled. So Bal'am got off his riding beast and he started hitting it. Then it started to move, but it didn't go too far. Stopped again. So he hit it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as it says, allowed the beast to talk. It says, Bal'am, don't you see what you're doing? They say that was from the signs he was given. Don't you see that the malaika is in front, repelling me and stopping me from moving? Don't you see what is in front of me and what you're about to do to yourself? As the beast spoke, and we know from the authentic narrations of Kitab al-Sunnah, of what the great Imam al-Bayhaqi had mentioned in his book of the signs of Nubuwah, and which also Imam al-Muqbil, Ibn Hadi al-Wadi'i, has said in the last times on earth, and these narrations are authentic, that the signs will not be, or the hour will not be established until animals will start to talk again. Yes, those narrations are authentic. And it'll be in the last days and times. Eventually, like we said, animals will start talking again in the last days and times. It happened during the time of Musa, where Musa had mentioned and said, of Ibn Kathir, what he mentioned and said, of what happened in the story. Balaam, what are you doing? What do you know what you're about to do? Do you know what you're about to invoke and what you're about to what? Do to yourself. Stop doing what you're doing before you now render yourself and put yourself in a state of destruction. Balaam was stubborn, and he was fooled by the dunya he was given, and he was fooled by the evil companions that was around him, and the worldly things that was given to him. He had rolled upon the mountain, and he started making dua against Musa and his people. When he started to make dua, they said during the invocation, the supplication he was making, his tongue, he wanted to say against and speak an invocation and speak out against Musa and make a prayer and a call out to Musa. Allah allowed his tongue to make the supplication against his people or against the people that told him to do it. Every time he made the supplication, the tongue was turned towards the people who told him to do it. Until they said to him, Balaam, you're making dua against us. You're supposed to be making dua against them. They said until he did 3 calls, until after that it was what? It was removed. None of the supplications was answered. And in regards to his what? His signs, it was stripped away and removed. Until his tongue started to become long and his head drooped down and he started to pant like a dog. Until he said to the people who made or encouraged him to make dua against Musa, he said to them, now I'm destroyed. My worldly is destroyed and my hereafter is destroyed. But I will plot against. I'll plot against those who are upon the righteousness. And I will plot against those who are evil. Those who are righteous, And I will aid those who are evil. How many do we know from the callers of these days? When they're broken off some money, you'll find now that they start aiding the people of falsehood. And they start speaking out against the people the truth. The callers of Tawheed, the callers of supporting what is correct, the correct Aqidah, belittling them, talking ill, speaking ill about them, insulting them, discouraging the people from taking knowledge from them. How many do we see? All because of some worldly gain and possession, calling to what is incorrect, aiding the people of evil, and also likewise insulting and what? Compromising what Allah has given him of the truth. You have seen this happen over and over again. And you still see it taking place today of what we see was taking place around us. Of what people give a certain callers of money. So you can remain quiet. Not giving the people of what they need to rectify their religion. Or rectify themselves. Or rectify themselves as people. Giving a call that's just supposedly just satisfy everyone. Not giving them the medicine of what they need, even though they might hate it. But at the end of the day, it's going to rectify them and make them better people. How many do we see? This is their state. Until you'll find that Ibn Kathir mentioned in the same context of the story of Balaam. He mentioned a fa'idah minhajiyah. He mentioned a fa'idah that's pertaining to what's taking place today. In which is hadith, which is common in Sahih, which is in the Musnad al-Bazzar. And which we know that isnad is authentic. Where it says, where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned it said, إِنَّمَا أَتَخَوَّفُ عَلَيْكُمْ رَجُلًا قَرَأَ الْقُرْآنِ حَتَّى إِذَا رُؤِيَتْ بَهْجَتُهُ عَلَيْهِ وَكَانَ رِدْءًا لِلْإِسْلَامِ وَاعْتَرَاهُ إِلَى مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ ثم انسلخ منه فخرج على جاره بالسيف ورماه بالشرك فقالوا يا رسول الله أيهما أولى بالشرك الرامي أم المرمي قال بل الرامي. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, that which I fear for you the most. Now listen to this, everyone. A person that recites the Quran until his beautiful recitation is seen with him. And he seems as if he's a person that's defending Islam. And he does it for an amount of time until he removes those signs from him. Removes the signs he was given. Recitation, ayat, ilm, knowledge, removes it. And he starts to now go out and set out against his neighbor, accusing him of polytheism, meaning of takfir, declaring him to be a kafir, declaring him to be an unbeliever. And he sets out to murder innocent people, and from them is his neighbor, saying and accusing him of kufr and shirk. So the man was asked, O Messenger of Allah, which one is more befitting of the polytheism and the kufr? The one who is going out to kill and steal and murder? The one who's wreaking havoc? Or the one who's murdering? Or the one who's being killed? He said, rather the one who's setting out to kill. Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa. One giving signs of Allah. One giving a nod of knowledge. Look to what happened at the last part of the story of Bal'am. Bal'am started now plotting against Musa. He started plotting against the people the truth. And he started now aiding the people falsehood at his time. After the signs had been ripped away, after the knowledge he possessed, out of everything Allah gave him, the signs that he was given, his invocation was answered. Your father Ibn Abbas had mentioned and said that is exactly what happened to a man during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. His name was Ubayyah ibn Abi Salt al-Thaqafi. He was a man that had a lot of knowledge during the time of the Messenger of Allah. He was a man that was given knowledge of the previous legislations that was given to the Bani Israel and those who came before. He had a lot of knowledge. He knew of the advent of the Messenger of Allah coming. He knew of the knowledge that was going to what? Of those who were pertaining to the previous legislations and the signs of the prophet who was supposed to come. He had knowledge of it. He was the knowledge of the most, rather from the most knowledgeable of those during the time of the Messenger of Allah. They said when the Messenger of Allah came, even though despite he had an abundance of knowledge, he said he wanted the knowledge and he expected the prophethood was supposed to be for him. When the Messenger of Allah was given the prophethood, alayhi salatu wasalam, out of jealousy and envy and hatred, not only did he reject the truth, even though he knew it, he possessed knowledge of it. Knew all the signs. He had knowledge of the previous legislations, knew of the advent of the Messenger of Allah, disbelieved in him. Not only that, as Ibn Abbas said, he even gathered with the Messenger of Allah, seen him. How clear of knowledge is that? As we know, the Messenger of Allah was given every sign to clarify that he was the last prophet and last messenger. Allah made it clear in every aspect. He was given the best of manners. He was given the best of etiquette. He was given the clearest of messages. He even looked like the man, like a prophet. As we know that a lot of people, even they said when they looked at him, as soon as they looked at him, they became Muslim. They even looked at him and knew that that was a man that was sent from Allah. That man who was what? Perfect inwardly and outwardly as far as in the human being and pertaining to the human beings. Umayyah ibn Abi Salt, seen the Messenger of Allah, gathered with him, had knowledge of him, knew that he was going to be sent. Despite of that, he disbelieved in him. Disbelieved not only that, but he plotted against him. And he aided the mushrikeen during the time of Badr. As it says in one of the narration that Ibn Abbas mentions in the tafsir, that he says to the point where he even deplored and felt pity for the mushrikeen from the battles of Badr, to show pity against the enemies of Allah and the enemies of Islam and the enemies of the Prophet ﷺ. Look to how envy and jealousy and how one could be given signs of Allah and how it could be stripped away and how one could be misguided and be led astray, no matter of what knowledge he possesses. Like we talked about, Shaitan was the most knowledgeable. He knew about La ilaha illallah, knew about and believed in the qadr of Allah, knew about that Allah deserves to be worshipped. Despite of that, he did not benefit by his knowledge. فَيَا مَعَاشِرَ الْإِخْوَةِ. What happened in the last part, what happened Bal'am ibn Ba'ura. It says in the last part of the narration, as Ibn Asakir that he mentioned, in the last part of the narration that he says when he started plotting against Musa, and all the signs were ripped away from him, all the signs that Allah gave him, all because of something worldly, something lowly as this world, looking and preferring, instead of preferring over what Allah gave him, what was more precious and more valuable than anything that one could be given, which is knowledge of Allah and knowing the knowledge in the greatest name of Allah and all the abundance of knowledge that he possessed. He said, now I will plot against Bani Israel and Musa. He says, I have a plot for you. If you carry out, you will be suffice. You know what he did? He says, gather the most beautiful of your women. Beautify them. Give them some merchandise. Come upon them and tempt them to commit zina. For verily from the most ugliest of sins is from those affairs of fornication and premarital intimacy, or what that takes place of adultery and fornication. If that's the case with adultery and fornication, what about homosexuality? That's even worse. You'll find in regards to of what took place, of what Balaam has said to him. He said, beautify your women. Tempt the people of Bani Israel. Go out and bring merchandise. Do not allow any man, from any woman that approaches any man, to now reject herself from that particular man. Allow that man to what? Be intimate with her. That's what Balaam had said against the people of what? Against the people of the truth, plotting against them after the signs have been stripped away. Wallahi, brothers, this is exactly what you see today. People, once they've been given worldly things, you now start seeing them plot against the people of the truth and aiding the people of falsehood and even giving them all ideas and little tricks and little what? Deceit and treachery. How to mislead them and how to destroy them. Day and night plotting. After all the signs Allah had given him, you'll find that some of those who are so-called say they study with the people of knowledge, spend some time with the ulama, which even makes their affair even worse. And also studying in the University of Medina, and studied overseas for some time, and studied with the ulama, and have this degree and have that degree, to the end of it. That means that's even a more of an argument upon yourself, that Allah gave you more signs, in which as a result of it, you ripped it away, and now come back and want to start misleading and misguiding the people. فَيَا مَعَاشِرَ الْإِخْوَةِ. It says the women went to Bani Israel. And we know that Bani Israel, during the time of Musa, a lot of them were weak. We know the stories of what happened with them, of what took place with the stories of Musa. Some of them were cowardly. Some of them had also likewise had betrayed their trust with Musa. Some of them even also likewise ridiculed Musa, as it comes in the story what happened in Surah Al-Kahf, and when they was talking about and ridiculing Musa. We know the story what happened to Bani Israel. What happened with them when the women came. The women tempted the men. A lot of the men fell into it. As one narration, it says that Allah, as a result of it, allowed a plague to overtake them. What do we see taking place today? Of sicknesses, diseases, AIDS, STDs. All of this is because of the acts of the people. Because of the filthy acts in which they indulge in. STDs, AIDS, you name it. There was a plague that overtook them. And it wiped, but 50,000 of the people of Bani Israel became killed due to this plague. Until there was a man that came, and he was from those who was the guardians or the protectors of Musa, had came, and his name was Finhaus ibn al-Izal ibn Harun. Had came upon a man, his name, who had fell into that particular sin, who started it. As when Finhaus came to the man who first committed fornication, with that particular woman that tempted him, Finhaus stood over him with a spear and stabbed him. And it said that it raised the spear up and said, Allah, this is how we do to those who fornicate and those who disobey your command. And they said during the time of Musa, and when he did this, the plague was removed after it killed 50,000 people. One narration says 20,000. The point of the matter is, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, which we want to establish is that the great Imam Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab had mentioned in his great story, no matter how much knowledge you have been given, no matter how much you have been studied, no matter how much you've been overseas, no matter how much books you've read, if Allah wants to misguide you, you will be misguided. If Allah Ta'ala wants fitna for you, you will have fitna. And that is, no one is excused from that. We see these days it was taking place with people who we see reciting ayats, have a hadith memorized, poetry memorized, left and right. Despite of that, if you look behind and knew what was going on, which a lot of people don't know, one of the reasons why they went astray had something to do with something worldly. Something they was given from someone rich, giving them some type of what? Earth or some land or some money. Then as a result of it, they flipped. Now starting speaking and plotting against the people the truth. For a person, if this is his state and you know this is your weakness in yourself, do not embark upon this field of dawah. Wallahi, brothers, this field of dawah is only truly for men, with the full meaning of the word men, who truly can handle it. If you cannot handle it, you need to get another occupation. It is better for you that you have another occupation and that you not lead the people astray. Call and not calling to anyone. Maybe just calling your family and your kids, and that's it. Teaching them is better for you that you sit in front of the people and purposely, knowing in the back of your mind you're wrong, but you still misguide the people because you know that you're weak inside of affairs which are worldly. فَيَا مَعَشَ الْإِخْوَةِ, this is what the great Imam said. No matter how much a person has high status of Iblis and a high status with Allah, that can be all removed. It can be stripped away. It can be all removed. Signs that Allah can give someone and they can snatch it off if one is not careful. We ask Allah Ta'ala to make amongst those who take in consideration these ayat, contemplating on them, look into the reasons why people went astray. Allah gave us a list and gave us different benefits, showing us what caused people to go astray. From the beginning to end, starting with Shaitan himself, he gave us details of what causes people to go astray. No matter what power they've been given, money given or knowledge. Allah gives us what happened to Iblis. What happened to Bal'am ibn Ba'ura? What happened to people of those who were given knowledge and then they went astray? We have all these different ayats and stories. Now only a person has to do is study and reflect. And then you have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you firm. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us firm in these trying days and times. And to ask us to also likewise be from those who call to what is mukhlisina lahuddin. And also those who stay firm upon what is correct. And not to be fooled by those who try to come in the ranks and try to mislead one. And thinking that you don't know what's going on, but you know exactly what's going on. And asking Allah Ta'ala to keep your eyes open and your ears open to what is correct. And to seal your heart off to what is incorrect. And acting and asking Allah constantly to keep you firm these days. Brothers and sisters, I just got a report the other day of a man I used to know when he was youth, just yesterday. He was in the University of Medina. Seen him and heard about him the other day. Cut beard, pants below his ankles, as if he never even studied. I've seen this all the time. Brothers I've known studied over Egypt, come back. He just died the other day. Died of stomach cancer. Young brother. Studied in Egypt, came back. Studied in the University of Medina, came back. Cut his beard. Wear his pants. Where's the author? Where's the effect of the knowledge? Where? I've seen it happen to so many people. So many people. And we are not exempt. We ask Allah to rectify fi our dunya and our hereafter. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وقيم الصلاة. استووا اعتدلوا وتراصوا. استووا صفوفكم، فإن تسوية الصفوف من تمام الصلاة.